about entomology, about biology, zoology, and beekeeping. By the way, today we are planning to talk about different literature, about journals which are published and which are publishing and which will be publishing in Ukraine. I will review some published journals which I'm keeping in my library. I show some books of Ukrainian authors who are just professional beekeepers, who are very professional beekeepers, who are scientists. So this is a review about different entomological beekeeping literature, and also not only about it. The most interesting will be after review about entomological and biological literature, because I will show you some new information, some news from journals which are published in Ukraine about current news from Ukraine in this turbulent time. Because in Ukraine now, there is a wide-scale war, and we are in a pretty harsh time. So today we didn't have air alerts, but yesterday we had. And sometimes, pretty often, we have just very difficult situation about missiles and some other unknown planes which are coming to Ukraine. So unfortunately. But let's go back to entomology, biology, and beekeeping, industry, beekeeping culture in Ukraine. I'm starting from the beginning, from entomological literature, about entomological journals. Scientists, professional entomologists who are working in the field of entomology in Ukraine now are publishing different scientific articles in scientific journals. And of course, now we're publishing it in Ukrainian and in English language, definitely in English. English is internationally recognized language. That's why we are publishing now not only in Ukrainian language, but also in English. And we have two journals devoted to entomology in Ukraine. One journal, this is Journal of Ukrainian Entomological Society. Journal of Ukrainian Entomological Society. Now the recent issue is just in print. I will review it maybe during a couple of weeks later, during very recent time, which is because it's in the print. But these journals have been published already in some years ago. Definitely here we still have the publications in Ukrainian and in English, with English summaries, for instance, about these darkling beetles. Still articles with white and black. White and black drawings and white and black photographs. This is my publication about new species of cut-seed wasp, the family Eurytamidae. In one other journal, we had even special review for Ukrainian entomologists. So this is a review for Ukrainian entomologists with our photographs of our currently working and who already passed away. So Ukrainian entomologists and other countries can recognize it easily. I'll show you some pictures. Maybe not all journals are available in all libraries all across Ukraine, because the number of journals are quite limited. I'm not sure that all libraries have this journal, but this journal is presented on the web. So, and scientists and entomologists just exchanging by electronic papers, PDF files. So you can recognize yourself maybe. Somebody can watch this video from Ukrainian Entomological Society. or maybe your friends and colleagues. And definitely some other papers here. Again, this is again my paper because I keep it in my library about Axioritoma new species. One paper about type material of calcidus in our institute. And this one paper about Zaphobos, genus Zaphobos. Okay. We have second journal, not Journal of Ukrainian Entomological Society, like the printed version, but we have also electronic version. This is Ukrainian journal Entomofaunistika, which is presented on web. Now we just have a newest issue devoted to different descriptions and biodiversity of different insects, including some invasive alien species which were indicated in Ukraine during the recent 20 years from different groups of Lepidoptera, Coleoptera, Diptera, Hymenoptera, and other groups of insects. Entomofaunistika. For sure, we're publishing some papers during conferences of Ukrainian Entomological Society. So this is a abstracts of meeting of Ukrainian Entomological Society, where a new president of Entomological Society was elected, Professor Korneyev. And also these articles representing reports of different members of Ukrainian Entomological Society, and it was during this September 2023. So, and this is a logotype of Ukrainian Entomological Society. So that's about entomology. Let's go further to the next part about beekeeping. There are several journals about beekeeping which are published in Ukraine. One of the most widely distributed journals, this is journal Apiary, or Beekeeping Farm. Not very big journal devoted for practical beekeeping. Apiary. So this one was devoted to, one of them devoted to Apimondia, International Beekeeping Congress in Turkish Republic in 2017. And here one of you, this is members of Ukrainian Entomological Beekeeping Society, Mr. Dombrovsky, and also representatives of Apimondia International Congress and Apimondia Society, president of Apimondia Society, previous one. And here one of a well-known devoted beekeepers with his granddaughter. This journal publishing different articles from practical beekeepers, who authors practical beekeepers devoted to apitherapy, keeping bees, harvesting, process of overwintering, as practical as partially scientific, with some advertisement, like some reviews of congresses, like this journal was devoted to description of activities in Apimondia meeting. This journal, which is called Ukrainian Beekeeper, which is actually published 10 years ago, but I don't have a newest one because this journal published in Lviv, and this journal is published in Kyiv, Pasika, or Apiary. And this journal is published in Lviv, Ukrainian Beekeeper. I'm not quite sure that in this year it was published. If somebody from Ukrainian beekeepers know about it, can write it in the comments, if this journal is still continuing to be published. And of course, the second, I don't have some journals which are published in city Khmelnytsky, which is called Beekeeper of Khmelnytsky city. But I have just a bunch of journals from Kyiv, and these journals are named Ukrainian Beekeeper Circle. Beekeeping Circle, this is non-governmental organization, not public organization of Ukrainian beekeepers. Beekeeping Circle. But unfortunately, this journal has stopped to be published because editors already not one editor who was Alexander Komissar. He passed away, unfortunately, and the second editor, who is Vasyl Solomka, he is a little bit old now, over 70. That's why it's not so very easy for him to publish, to edit, to publish, to have all communication in this little bit older age. And no one, just younger beekeepers who is just can keep it in new young hands. So this is journal Ukrainian Beekeeping Circle, which is meaning just very strong, united circle of beekeepers. So this is a logotype of a flag of Ukrainian beekeepers. The Ukrainian Beekeeper Circle, it's written, Ukrainian Beekeeper Circle. And here some scientific papers were published because editors were very strong about referees. We were very strong referee as well. So they edited publications and published just referred papers very carefully, very careful. Photos, drawings, interviews about all aspects of beekeeping activities in Ukraine. For instance, he indicated some nukes, places for keeping queens in Ukraine, with review of some apiaries where some nukes are kept. And for instance, in the second journal, it's here, this is a so artistic Ukrainian style beehive from somewhere from Carpathian region. On the back side of the cover, it was just a bunch of Ukrainian beekeepers were published in each issue. It was 6 issues every month. Here again you can see just very ordinary log Ukrainian beehive. Quite a very simple one. Or just this one, little bit more complicated. Many stored beehives. You see Alp beehive with many storages. So it's also used in Ukraine. Here you see the review of packages, how Ukrainian beekeepers packed honey and distributed it abroad for export. So these 2 boxes just of Ukrainian honey, which were exported to Japan. So some exports are just proliferating into different countries. Even in this year 2023, despite this issue is just pretty old, still Ukraine is exporting quite a lot of honey to different countries, even in this time and in the previous year of this wild-scale war in Ukraine. So this one, export to Japan, which is also continued, not to the very huge numbers, but still continuing. So you can see here in view of beehive from inside with ultraviolet equipment. And here some combs, again many Ukrainian beekeepers. I can show you them more carefully onto cameras. Maybe someone can see yourself or friends. Again about structure of beehive and comb. I cannot review all papers, and here with label on some memorial which is written Love Ukraine, love it forever. Okay, so maybe some younger editors will appear in the nearest time, in new coming years. So we hope this journal will renew in the nearest time. Hello to everyone who is coming. And one editor who is Alexander Komissar, he passed away several years ago. This is his book. 2 books devoted to queen rearing, which is named Queen Rearing from Queen Cell to Fertilized Queen, process from building of just queen cell up to the fertilized queen. So 2 volumes of his very famous, very interesting, and very valuable book, which is possible to find now probably only if asked family members of Alexander Komissar. So, but nevertheless, with scientific review of international literature, very careful review of literature, with some new innovations about queen breeding, queen rearing, and about review of different equipment for queen rearing. So not every shop in Ukraine can keep these books because it's already out of order. Maybe a few copies still you can order from the family of Alexander Komissar, who was our famous beekeeper and editor of journal Ukrainian Beekeeping Circle. I cannot miss attention from these books of Petro Prokopovich, because these issues, 3 volumes of Petro Prokopovich, famous Ukrainian beekeeper who just invented cultural beekeeping in 200 years ago, in 1814, precisely 200 years ago, nearby. So these 3 volumes, all his papers were edited very carefully by editors who are just here on this photo. Yes, including Vasyl Solomka, Mykola Gornich, Mr. Korzh, and some others, Milov and Zuy. These five beekeepers who were editors of these 3 volumes, Petro Prokopovich papers, which were translated in Ukrainian language and now available in Ukrainian language. It was published 10 years ago, these books. Everyone in Ukraine knows very well the leader of Ukrainian Beekeeping Circle, Vasyl Solomka. So this is his book, which is named Comb Frame and Innovation of Comb Frame, which is devoted to the construction of beehives and the construction of Petro Prokopovich beehives in Ukraine. And Mr. Korzh, Valeriy Korzh, he is a proliferous author of different books. I don't have too many books of him, but nevertheless, this one book, he was editor, and he managed just the fund of Petro Prokopovich in Ukraine. He is from Kyiv. Mr. Korzh, Valeriy Korzh, and this is one of his many books devoted to beekeeping. This is about royal jelly, famous product of bees. And second editor was Mykola Gornich. He's very active and he has his special web page. These 2 books of Mykola Gornich about change of queen bee and about honey wines, about mead, honey wine. And he has 2 more books about honey wine. This is about honey wine. And this is about introduction and exchange of bee queen in honeybee colony. Mykola Gornich books. He has 4 books. Maybe he is planning to publish more books. Some authors published books as well. For instance, this is professional beekeeper of pretty old age, Grigoriy Priymak. He published also several books. One of his books with loving attitude to the honeybee. Some beekeepers are very great inventors, like this Mr. Vasyl Priyatelenko. He published also a few books in Ukrainian and English languages, and also a bunch of different articles about his construction of Vasyl Priyatelenko beehive. I'm keeping these small books in my hands, but also I have many articles published together in cooperation with him about the construction of his beehive in English language, in English journals. So you can find it, references on my channel, and also I presented some of them on international conferences and presented it in some publications which will be indicated, which are indicated on my channel as well. Many videos are devoted to his apiary, which is located near Kyiv, and his unique construction of Vasyl Priyatelenko beehive needs to be recognized very well and evaluated. I hope so many people can know about it through my webpage and through the different publications. You can check it on my YouTube channel as well. Some reports on conferences about his beehive and about his apiary. Welcome to check my many videos on my channel. Then I cannot miss this book of Dr. Khmara. Khmara, he has passed away several years ago, famous Ukrainian professional beekeeper, and he invented methods of healthy keeping of honeybees. Hello to everyone who is joining us. I know now time is more or less suitable for meetings. So this is Petro Khmara, Petro Yakovlevich Khmara, famous Ukrainian beekeeper. And he invented technology of healthy keeping honeybees without medical pharmacy drugs. Including, he introduced very special isolator of honeybee queen. His great follower is Mr. Malykhin, who is very active on internet, and I show you his books. Vladimir Malykhin, he published just a bunch of books, 6 books devoted to creative beekeeping, 6 books creative beekeeping in Ukrainian language. So for instance, this is series of books, creative beekeeping, it's written, and effective economical beekeeping. He is introducing this technology of Khmara into practice for many years, and he's advertising, he's making a great job of outreach, communication about Ukrainian style of beekeeping and keeping of queen bee in isolator during the overwintering time to avoid brood and to avoid the proliferation of varroa mites in beehives and in beekeeping colonies. Like, okay, his books, this one is 2 queens keeping during the annual cycle of honeybee colony. 2 queens beekeeping in one beehive. Not everyone can speak English. Sorry about it, Mr. Donovan. Not everyone can speak English. Young generation is speaking English more or less well, but not everyone beekeepers, because many beekeepers are living in rural areas. You can imagine, this is not a job for urban areas. This is more for urban for rural areas, in villages and small cities. Somewhere in mountains, in Carpathian mountains, people are just devoted to rural activities, not always fully to beekeeping activities. So they're just attached to the soil, to the ground. So that's why they're quite busy. Beekeeping job is very hard. So that's why not always we're studying English language. But I will introduce my lessons about English in beekeeping on my channel, and hope so to invite more Ukrainian beekeepers to speak English. Because this video, this translation is devoted more for English-speaking audience, with attention, of course, some Ukrainian audience. Yes, I have my email. Which is indicated under my videos. Each my video has description with indication of my personal email. So you can check anyone just of my videos, and you can find my email. I don't have just immediately the paper with written email. So check it, please. So let's talk about these books. This second book about economical beekeeping, from philosophy, from theory to practice. This is second one. From theory to practice, including this isolated keeping of honeybee queen. Isolation of honeybee queen during annual cycle. This is in different language. So this is extra conditional overwintering of honeybee colonies book. And this one is about royal jelly, about the gomate of which is done from larvae of drones, and emergence of honeybee queens. And this one, just with basic starting name of his activities, creative beekeeping. Vladimir Yegorovich Malykhin, he is author of his YouTube channel. He is very famous Ukrainian beekeeper, and so he published 6 books about honeybees. So you can check his YouTube channel as well. Okay, that's not the last, but not the least. But now I want to move to another section of my presentation, not only about entomology, not about honeybees, but about news in Ukraine. You know what is going on in Ukraine? You cannot, probably you know, but definitely you cannot imagine. Sorry about some noise. Some books fell down. But I want to introduce you this journal, which is a journal about news in Ukraine. This journal is called Kraina. It's called quite similar like Ukraine, Ukraina in Ukrainian language. It means state in Ukrainian language. So this is monthly journal which is published in Ukraine, devoted to recent news in Ukraine, and I'm just buying it in post office monthly to keep in mind the events of each month, which is troubling and changing every month, by the way. So I can show you some photographs, some pictures with very brief review of journals, because this is just for beginning. If you are interested to know more about news from these particular journals, I will talk about it in a separate video. Okay, like this journal is, you can understand, devoted to possibility of Ukraine to join NATO, which is discussed for ages, we could say, during different time, during all this time of wild-scale war in Ukraine. Many articles are devoted to different stories. Here the story of this Ukrainian man who is translator and who is making diplomatic activities in Ukraine. Without its title, it's named "Without Ukraine There Is No Empire," because some bloody northern country want to proliferate its empire. So there will be no empire without Ukraine. And Ukraine is fighting for independence, to be free from this empire. This journal from, by the way, from the February 2023. So I will show you several journals during this month. This journal from March with Archbishop Epiphanius on this cover, because there are some difficult situation about Ukrainian Orthodox Church. And here some stories about Ukrainian soldiers. Here this is article devoted to Hetman Skoropadsky, one of leaders of independent Ukrainian state in 1918, nearly 100 years ago. Pavlo Skoropadsky. The last pages is devoted to historical events. And this is the family of Pavlo Skoropadsky. I cannot show you all articles, it will take a long time. April, Ukrainian soldiers in the journal Kraina, Ukrainian journal Kraina, and Ukrainian soldiers which are protecting Ukraine, independence of Ukraine, and fighting for Ukraine. Here, inside, I indicated just the article about Ukrainian children, and this is a lady who is just psychologist of Ukrainian children, because it's quite difficult for children to survive in this war. It's the most difficult to keep children with the war in mind, how to help children during this troubling time. Here, June journal about this journal of June, with indication of these white and black photos of city of Bakhmut fully in ruins, because this was the time fighting for city of Bakhmut in Ukraine, between Ukraine and a bloody neighbor. This is Ukrainian soldier near the sunflowers. And here even just one article devoted to publications of this famous American writer Cormac McCarthy. I don't know him actually myself, because he's an old age, looks like Hemingway, but it's written quite interesting, some his citation from different his books, to make closer American literature to us, to give us some more information about American people, American state, about American mentality, and American literature. So, Cormac McCarthy. And the journal devoted to the fighting for Bakhmut, in the east of Ukraine. this hardcover of this journal, Kraina, July, with Ukrainian lady in title on the down part of the cover. My husband, her husband, was lost in a war and didn't found yet. Here is an article interview with this lady who lost her husband and he have not been found yet. She has 2 children, 2 daughters, and it's a very harsh situation for her. And with second page, here Ukrainian general, very active military activity, Alexander Syrsky, his citation of his orders about liberation of a Bakhmut city, about fighting for Bakhmut city. Many Ukrainian families lost their relatives in this war, and many people are prisoners of war. Many children were just removed by the force to the neighboring country. We were removed by the force. They're like prisoners of war as well. And many wives lost their husbands. This journal from August, journal from August, journal Kraina, and it's written on the cover that from the population of Ukraine, which was about 37 million, we don't know how many will survive during this troubling time, during this harsh fighting. Okay. If you have questions about Ukraine, you can write in comments or in private emails. On the latest pages here, this is a historical article about artist Izhakevich from the beginning of the 20th century. Ukrainian artist Izhakevich, painter. He's very famous in Ukraine. He was famous and he is famous. Even his painting in one of Ukrainian cathedrals. Izhakevich. Next journal, just a recent one from September. A very difficult picture about nuclear activities and possibility of nuclear activities and some declarations of warning about nuclear experiments during this war. So it's quite troubling time to exchange peace negotiation or just nuclear armament, opportunity to use it. So nobody knows what's going on. How to prevent it? This is a great danger for whole human civilization. And the last pages here about history of Ukraine. This is story about composer Lysenko, who is just composer of music of Christmas with very calm and very delicate music, which are used very often during the Christmas time. And surprisingly, the author of his music of Christmas time, which is coming quite soon, this is Ukrainian composer Lysenko, and this is his family in the beginning of 20th century. And about his family. Here the story about his family. And next one about discussion about NATO, about opportunity and possibility of Ukraine to join NATO. Here this is discussion with Austrian historian and philosopher. Here this is a photo of Austrian activist. And here I can show you some photos of Ukrainian soldier with his pet who is helping him during this wartime. And here this drawing about umbrella, which this is a demand for different countries to give Ukraine different weapons to protect us from these missiles. But this window, or this is a shield of protection, should be done through very active anti-aircraft equipment. And finally, the last but not the least journal about Ukraine. This is a recent one of this November. And here we have just picture of Ukrainian lady and man with a flag in hands, united all cities and all territories and all regions of Ukraine. And this journal is devoted to the events of the 10th anniversary of activities in Kyiv, on Maidan of Independence, on the Square of Independence, during the Revolution of Honor in 2013. And this is a photo of destroyed Independence Square in the center of the city. Now it's completely restored. Now it's in a full scale restored all this Independence Square. But nevertheless, 10 years ago it was a very harsh time for all Ukrainian nation. And in next year, the invasion of our bloody neighbors started to some regions of Ukraine after these events. Many stories about Ukrainian history are inside these journals, which are named Kraina, or state in English, Kraina in Ukrainian language. If you are interested to review some articles from this journal, write in comments. I can make this review in new videos. This is a story about Ukrainian literature, devoted to beekeeping, devoted to entomology, devoted to the history of Ukraine, entomology, don't forget about it, because I'm entomologist. But nevertheless, living in the country and to be out of the country, it's impossible. That's why I gave you just a little bit of glance of activities and the life which is going on in Ukraine here and now, the present time. So that's why I wanted to show you several papers, several articles, some pictures, not many of them, some of them. I hope it was surprising, interesting for you. And write in comments what is interesting for you as well. And that's in general what I wanted to tell you during this stream. Don't forget to press like, write your comments under this video, ask your questions on my email, ufancy.dog@gmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe, visit my Patreon page for patrons, or if you are just have Monobank card, you can join my patrons through Monobanka. Monobanka. This is very famous, very common for Ukrainian. I'm guessing that it's possible to connect with Monobanka from other countries as well, and it will be some currency can be converted. You can send money from your account on Monobanka, or just drop it on my Patreon page, or you can join my sponsors on the first page of my channel. Press on the bottom join sponsors. If you are interested in Ukraine, if you are interested in entomology, in insects. And don't forget, Ukraine is fighting for independence. Stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, and Ukraine will win. Thank you for your attention. Good luck, see you soon on my channel. Bye bye. Sorry I cannot answer immediately on chat, but I can answer you in comments under the video, because I can see written comments and I can see comments under the video after recording, because all videos are depositing automatically on my web channel, on my YouTube channel. Thank you for coming. Good luck, see you soon. Ukraine will win. See you soon on my channel.